Hello, I'm Vine and today I have for you a 15 level Arcane Bloodline Sorcerer character build. To be honest, this build came to be after I grew dissatisfied with my previous Blaster Caster build, because I always knew that Conjuration is a way better school than Evocation, and this is very much not because of summoning spells. So I experimented a little and found out about a little Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous exploit that I wanna use here. Because of this, the build is compatible only with Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous CRPG and focuses on Conjuration School. However, with a little tweaking, it can be adapted to any other spell school, but for simplicity and min-maxing, I'm only focusing on Conjuration. Let's start with attributes. We need 18 points in Charisma and at least 14 points in Dexterity. Strength is dump stat 4 points. Also, since we will be using Arcane Bloodline, we technically can switch Charisma with Intelligence and use Sage Sorcerer archetype. For race, we pick any that gives +2 to our spellcasting attribute. This means that we can pick any race except dwarves. Like seriously, everyone gets an Intelligence or Charisma increase from basic bonuses or heritages, but no dwarves. Short kings done dirty again. Next are levels and feats. We will be taking 15 levels in Sorcerer, nice and easy. And of course we pick an Arcane Bloodline, one of the most meta bloodlines that narratively fulfill the classic magical talent fantasy trope. From Arcane Bond we pick Hare Familiar for +4 to Initiative. And as the first feat, we pick Improved Initiative for another +4 to Initiative, which cumulates with the Dexterity bonus and Familiar, giving us +10 to Initiative on first level. There is a way to increase this bonus even further, but I leave it for you to discover. From the Wrath of the Righteous Sorcerer bonus feat, we pick Spell Focus Conjuration for +1 to the difficulty class of our favorite school. On third level, we pick Elemental Focus Acid for +1 to the difficulty class of our favorite element, as Conjuration spells have a tendency to deal acid damage. Don't ask me why, that's just the quirk of this magic school. On 5th level, we pick Metamagic Selective spell, since CRPG lifted skill restrictions for the feat and actually expanded the spell scope of it. You see, in this feat's description stands legacy rule from tabletop, claiming that it works only with spells that have instantaneous duration, which technically excludes most of Conjuration spells, as only a few of them are instantaneous. But all cats forgot to restrict the usage of this metamagic feat to only instantaneous spells, which means that in Wrath of the Righteous we can cast Cloud Kill as Selective, making the Fog of Death completely harmless to our whole party. This is probably an intentional bug to make the game more fun, and to be fair, Selective Tsunamis are extremely fun, but more about this later. On 7th level we take Greater Elemental Focus Acid and Greater Spell Focus Conjuration from bonus feat, all to maximize our spell difficulty class. On 9th level we take Metamagic Persistent spell to force double roll on enemies that try to save on our spells. On this level, Arcane Bloodline gives us access to one additional spell. I recommend Haste if you failed to pick it on 6th level, or Communal Protection from Arrows, which is a nice protective spell. On 11th level, there is a free feat space. Take whatever feat you wanna, maybe something to RP. For more mechanical players that decided to invest in Persuasion, I recommend Arcane Spirit to debuff one close range enemy. Quite situational, but useful if you have no better idea for a feat. On 13th level, we have a combo. we take Dispel Focus to increase our caster level when using Dispels. From bonus feats, we take Skill Focus Knowledge Arcana for anyone that wants to take Lore Master after the 15th level. And from Arcana bonus spell, we take Greater Dispel Magic. With this combination, we have more options for our Sorcerer, where beside being an overpowered AoE caster, they can also dispel enemy buffs and have an option to take one of the most overpowered classes in the game later on. On 15th level, we take Greater Dispel Magic to boost our dispelling potential even further. But the cherry on top, and the reason why this build has 15 levels, is the School Power, an arcane bloodline feature that gives +2 to the spell's difficulty class for one chosen school of magic. We of course choose Conjuration. Also, fun fact, this bloodline feature counts as a feat for extended arsenal mythic feat, if you wanna copy Conjuration difficulty class bonuses to another school of magic. Now, before I talk about spells, let's talk about 3 must-have mythic features. On the first mythic level, take favorite Metamagic Selective. This will reduce spell level increase to 0, allowing us to safely put Selective on all AoE spells. On the second mythic level, take Spell Focus Mythic Conjuration to double the bonuses from Spell Focus and Greater Spell Focus feats, as our Sorcerer focuses heavily on spell DC. With this mythic feat and 24 Charisma, our DC for Conjuration's difficulty class amounts to 23 without any item or spell level bonuses. On the third mythic level, take Corruptor, which will allow us to use Stinking Cloud and Cloud Kill on all enemies that normally would be immune to poison, like demons or undead. Rest is up to you, feel free to take anything you like. Finally, we can talk about the spells to use. Ignore all summoning spells, they are useless to us as we will be focusing on AoE spells only, starting with the Grease, a wonderful spell that makes enemies trip and lay prone. Perfect crowd control spell. Best thing about it, like the all spells on this list, it's not affected by the spell resistance. Besides Selective, use persistent Metamagic with it to make the Grease more effective. Up a level, we have Glitterdust, a small AoE with blindness effect that hits in the will saving throw. Perfect to cast selectively when enemies swarm party's frontline. Here persistent is still quite useful as it only increases the spell's level to 4th. Another useful spell from this level is Web. Works on area twice as big as the Grease, giving our victims grappled condition. This cumulates with Grease, making the area affected by both spells impossible to anyone beside our party or flying enemies. On the third spell level, we have the Fart spell, aka Stinking Cloud. Again, crowd control, this time making enemies nauseated and attacking fortitude. Combined with Grease, Glitterdust and Web, it creates a spell combination that covers all 3 saving throws, allowing us to crowd control every type of enemy. Unfortunately, this is the last spell that we can make persistent with an actual value. And that's because Acid Pit cannot be made persistent because of Pit's spell mechanics. They are simply incompatible with this type of metamagic. Still, all pits in Wrath of the Righteous can be made selective, and with this one being an acid type, it gets additional +2 to DC from elemental focus feats we took earlier. On the 5th spell level, we have the portable Zyklon B, aka the Cloud Kill. Perfect for channeling inner war criminals and gassing all demons to death. Technically, we can use persistent metamagic with it, but since saving throws only reduce constitution damage and not prevent it, it's not really necessary, unlike Selective. Since with Corruptor ability, the war crime gas bypasses all protections, and Selective is the only way to prevent us from gassing our own party. Skipping 2 levels, we get Rift of Ruin, the Pick Pit spell that exists to temporarily exclude enemies from the fight and make them feel all kinds of pain. And on the highest level, we have the Tsunami that we can make selective and safely abuse on the battlefield, heavily damaging and knocking prone everything beside our party. Since it also pushes the victims alongside the wave, it can be used defensively to get the enemies far away from the caster. Truly, a pick of this build. Now, time for evaluation. In tabletop, it's cheating. Good luck finding a DM who would allow a broken features from CRPG at his table. And even if you find one, hope that he will not use those features against you. In CRPG, it's crowd over control. In essence, this build is a crowd control overkill, safely casting AoE spells left and right while ignoring spell resistance of his victims. By the game standards, this is more overpowered than doing damage, as enemies just stop moving and can be mopped up by anyone. As for the roleplay, it's sadistic Harry Potter. Arcane Bloodline was created to fulfill magic talent fantasy. Conjuration School was created to fulfill magic torture fantasy. Combining the two, we get a wizard from the Harry Potter franchise who is into dropping people into a ditch and filling it with Zyklon B. And that's only when he feels merciful. Otherwise they end up webbed up, blinded with glitter and sick from nauseating gases, waiting for when he finally decides to kill them. So what do you think about this build? Write your opinion in the comments and see you later!